Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now listening to American gypC Podcast. I am your host, Classic, and I am here with my co-host,
gypC.
And today we are here with our special guest, Aquil Mizan. Go ahead. Well, I'll go ahead and say how we came across this brother. On Instagram, he shows love to almost every musician and other people as well. But he sends out a special happy birthday to almost every musician that I almost know as a string musician or, just a bunch of musicians, period. Even my own brother, both of my brothers are musicians, and we both came up on his radar. And it's amazing the love that you give and that you put out with that page. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure they've told you before, period, but the love that even that I get from it, just from somebody acknowledging, my special day and the way you, just put it out there. What inspired you to do that? Just starting off, and then we're going to get into, I guess, who you are and everything else and where you're coming from.
Okay. So first, thank you, and again, it's an honor, and I've been looking forward to chopping it up for a minute.
Glad to have you.
So music has always been, for a long time, been like near and dear to my heart, and it's always been special and like beneficial to me. In some ways, it's obvious to people. In some ways, it's less obvious. And like one of the things that I always like to do, and I think a lot of people who love music, like to is find joy in maybe finding a song or just knowing a song that maybe someone else hadn't heard. It might be an artist that artist that we all know, but a song that's kind of like unsung that hardly anybody knows, and just sharing that. And a lot of times people do the same with me. People, some of my like OGs and just friends and some associates in general, like, check out so and so, and I'm like, oh, I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I enjoy doing it. And like when I guess maybe 12 years or so, when I first really, really got on social media, it was like I had a personality as a as a man in general and as an artist, but with the posts, what I shouldn't post, what to say, I didn't, it was new to me. So after being on there a little bit, it was like three things that kind of that are central to most of the stuff that I post about, just in general, is like, music, spirituality, and sports. And as far as like the birthday thing goes, like on it started with, social media would remind, you that like your people who you follow is their birthday, da 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 da. Sometimes I would see it in my timeline. So like gradually I just started. The first one, it was everybody know the Stevie Wonder joint. And then like every year, I would find a different one, or sometimes people would send me one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
like
I
some
sent you
years it
mine.
was like,
yeah.
now I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate
Yeah.
that. Because the thing is, well, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But then a few years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I made an intent that as long as people keep blessing me with it, and I keep finding them to share different black string musicians playing the birthday. Because one, I enjoy sharing the music just because that's something I enjoy doing. And two, a lot of people say that, seem to say they, appreciate it and enjoy it. Two, it's like I feel like I'm low key, but intentionally, promoting the diversity of our talent musically. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
I knew that y'all existed, but I didn't know that there was so many of us, that
We didn't
I don't play.
necessarily know that we existed though until you let us know that we all exist. It's a lot of musicians you've put me on that, yeah, I wouldn't have known they existed unless you connected the dot, or you connected everybody together.
Oh wow, man! I give thanks, but to me, it's just a blessing, man. Like I said, I love it, man. I love, it was a brother. He transitioned a few years ago. It was one of the OGs. He was a poet, based in my area. His name it was One Wise African, and he had this whole poem, and the mantra of it was, can't nobody do it like we do it when we do what we do. And just seeing, I just love seeing I just love just aesthetically, like just on face value alone. I just like, like it's just like how we look with it, you know what I mean? And then just the different creativity from, from classical to hip hop, to jazz, to R&B, gospel, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just love it. You know what I mean? And I just, um,
You said
try
you're
to do
doing.
my little part.
Yeah, my bad. I
Huh?
interrupted you when you was as far as explaining, I guess your process on how you were building up to it.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah. And so I just love doing it. So the more through social media mostly, I would just see people, find out people, and sometimes people would tell me, check out so and so, you know what I mean, or send me, clips. I'm like, man, I love that. And then and something I was going to say, the man, I lost my
I know
lost
we
my
were talking
point.
as far as introducing existing. You didn't know that certain musicians existed, and I was saying that I didn't know that others existed, but that might have was trying to.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's just been like one of the hidden blessings of like I said, I didn't know that there was so many of it. It's a number of people, not a whole lot because I don't really travel too much, but just in my area, it's a number of musicians that I met and connected with, through social media, and I mean, I just that's something that's a blessing. And the other part too, I forgot to mention is like one of my for years it's been a dream. And I guess I've been striving to take baby steps toward is Aquil Mizan with strings. So along with the other stuff, it is me intentionally, putting out the energy of like, like I don't know when I'm going to be on the West Coast or when I'm going to be in Mississippi or when I'm going to be in Houston, but or any number of places. But I know, God willing, if I go to certain areas, I, I don't want to overstate it, but I know some people, and
Right.
then I know some people that know some people. So I know, like, I'm pretty sure that a whole bunch, because what I'm saying, just doing what you do, and for how long you've been doing it, it's so many people that that, like, you know if I was in Mississippi, I mean, I'm sure you could tell me like, yo, holla at, get it so
Oh
and so,
yeah,
or they could tell you,
I'm
what I mean, all of
definitely
that.
I'm definitely one of them kind of people that like, yeah, if you ever in Los Angeles, come through and we're gonna do it in
Yeah.
studio interview. So I definitely know what you mean, yeah, by that. As far as it opens up a nice little network that you might not see right off, but it's there. Once the
Right.
time comes to where you gotta maybe even make it happen, or just reach out to them, or even if they just read you, they know you in the area. Because even if I see people in the area, yeah, I'll reach out and be like, hey, if you get a chance while you're out here, I'll let me. They rarely
Right.
do.
Right.
Some people do. I've had maybe one or two people, that I knew from back when I was in the DMV area, and he was just happened to be out here, and he stopped through, and we chopped it up and everything. So I definitely understand what you mean by that. And I guess even to go back to, I said we were going to kind of go back a little bit. So now
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about, where you from, how you got into music, and, a little bit about you.
I'm born and raised in Baltimore,
Okay.
Maryland. Um, I'm a poet who came up as an MC. I still consider myself an MC, but I haven't been practicing those skills as much. But I can still do it, and I still love it. Definitely a part of who I am. Um,
I understand.
uh,
I'm a cellist. I haven't practiced a lot in the past year, but yeah, I'm a cellist, so I understand what you mean.
right.
And I've heard your work, so it's great stuff, man. It is. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Can give thanks. A saxophone player that's not anywhere near as disciplined as I should be. Because if I was more disciplined, I would be much further along. In terms of musical talent. But
I
still, the
understand
journey
that part
is.
as well. Yeah.
But I still love it. And working with people. having connected with. It's a lot of a lot of good times. And then the big thing, God willing, I'm gonna make it happen this year finally because I have a whole bunch of recordings, but I haven't pressed up. The last CD that I put out was even saying CD that tell you something right there, but was 2014. But I need to get them online so that so I could people that that I'm meeting nowadays can that those who want to what I'm saying can get some of those or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean saxophone player. I'm a FOI member of the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Um, music lover. Um,
What age
uh,
did you get into music though? I was 5
um,
when they handed me a cello. I was 5 years old.
oh, you mean playing it
Well, yeah,
or?
when you first got into music, yeah,
I mean, what you mean as a musician or just as into music in general,
yeah. Well, it's up to
or
you on
both?
which one. If they're they were the same for me. When I got
Right,
into
that's what's
music
up.
in general, that was when I got into it as a musician, basically. But it's whichever you want to explain. If you want to, did you get into music first, or you got into it as a musician first?
Oh, definitely music first. Definitely, it was. I didn't.
Okay.
I would say I always liked it, but I would say probably in my teens, actually maybe like 11 to 12 was when I really started to get into it when I got my first little radio and with with tapes and stuff. Back then it was before CDs, but like hear songs and make my little tapes and stuff like that. And I mean,
Yeah.
but, but yeah, I mean the musician thing didn't really come until years later. A few years I started buying jazz CDs in like '99, and a few years later, and I was man, so many things. Just cut me off and let me know because I mean, but
No,
like
no, no,
so.
no, no. We like I said, you go. We listening to you, man. We learn. We're here to learn. We're here to get to know you. Hey, there's no. I want to know
No
this, man.
rush.
Yeah, no rush. I want to know this.
Okay, no, I mean, I appreciate that. So, um, I have been since '85 is when I started rapping. When it's on my age, but when Curtis Blow came out with basketball, that's when I wrote my first rap. So, and it wasn't until '99 that I was introduced to the to the poetry scene, and in my city. But like all of those years, I would be listening to music and I would have ideas, for samples or for what I would have a DJ do, but I didn't even know the people and or didn't have the money or some combination of both until until the late '90s when my brother, like shout out to Eat Poet MC. I'll probably say more about him later on, but Eat Poet MC definitely is big brother, mentor on like a lot of so many levels. You know what I mean? In fact,
Definitely.
salute my brother, man. So much I could say about the brother. But in '99, he actually started with Eat Poet MC. He was the first person that I knew that had a CD. We both rap. We met in the we actually met in the in the the mosque in our city. Muhammad Mosque #6, and then we met there. But he was he rap. He still does. He rap. He does poetry and stuff as well. But and he was, I think in like '97 or '8, he put out his first CD, and he was the first person that told me that I could do it. And not only did he tell me that I could do it, but he actually showed me the steps. So he gave me
Mhm.
all of the game, so to speak. And
That's love.
then yeah, definitely. And I mean, and he connected with me, as a brother named Jahar Hassan, dope producer. He connected me with him, and then after a couple years, I think Jahar, well, he was always working, but I think at a certain point, he kind of um, uh, put more focus on the work and less straight away from the music. You know what I mean? And then at that point I started working more with a brother named Sean Torre, still one of the dope, super dope. He's a dope MC too, but he's to me a phenomenal producer. I mean, and like it's one of those things where for me, all of the ideas that I had, sometimes you have ideas and it's frustrating because you either maybe don't have the money, or even if you had the money, you may not know the personnel or have the human resources to know that, okay,
Completely
I want to
understand.
do this. I need to holler at him. I need to holler at her. You know what I mean? But like, he was a person that like all of the sample ideas that, stuff that I would come up with, he could make it happen. And so, and the joy of, I guess, fulfillment of being able to manifest all the creative ideas that I was being blessed with at the time, and listening to all of the jazz that I was listening to. Oh, I don't know if it's been away. All the
You
jazz
still
I was
here.
listening to. At a certain point, inspired me wanted to either. At a certain point, I was either gonna get some music equipment or pick up an instrument. And as the instrument, it was either going to be, the upright bass, double bass, or a saxophone. And I love, I had affinity for both, still do. And when I did the like preliminary research, the saxophone was far more affordable. Um, so I went with that. And like the first two saxophones I had basically like fell in my lap. I mean, like the cat, I was at work and I was playing, not playing music instrumentally, but just playing it on, CDs and stuff. I'll be playing jazz and R&B and stuff. And one day I was talking to a customer just on a humble, and I was telling him I was thinking about getting getting the instrument. And he's like, what are you thinking about? Get, I said either, saxophone or, or double bass. So about a week and a half later, I saw him getting out of his car, coming to the store. He had, a brown case. I said, man, yeah, and so he come in and he said, I know, you don't, never played an instrument before, whatever. He said, I'm gonna let you hold, the saxophone. He said, let some of your musical friends check it out. You know what I mean? And if they say you should get it, just give me $50. That's, I mean, that's damn near, giving it to me. $50 for, it needed a little bit of work, but still, that was a tremendous,
Yeah,
blessing. And you know,
that's what got the ball rolling, huh?
right, right. And then I started getting lessons from I never went to school or anything like that, but just lessons from different cats. That's one thing I've been though I hate saying this. I hope I briefly I get to a point where I don't have to say it, but I haven't been any. Like I said, if I was more disciplined, I'd be so much further along. But
Yeah,
I'm
oh,
so
trust me.
thankful
Me,
that.
like I said, I started when I was 5. I grew up playing in
Wow.
orchestras and stuff like that. I didn't like it. I didn't like playing. I didn't like the cello. It wasn't. I
Wow.
stopped playing for 7 years when I lived in Atlanta, and that's where we met. And then when I lived up in actually the DMV area, I didn't like the DMV area. And after so long, I got back into playing the cello, more of, I guess, of a kind of spiritual motivation thing. And in between that time and even now, I still love my connection, what I can do with it and everything, and but I definitely enjoy playing it a lot more now than I did
Right.
then. So practice wise, I wish I was more disciplined. Trust me, it'd be a whole different ball game if I actually liked it like some of the other musicians out there, even just like yourself. Because I didn't get the same introduction. Like I said, it wasn't like the average musician. I was hearing something and I liked it, and I wanted to get into it. It was more for me is you want to play violin or you want to play cello. It's more like cello, and then go from there.
Right.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. So
that's
it's
what's
a
up.
diff. It's a. But I went to performing arts school as well around 5th grade, and that's when I
Hmm.
kind of got into producing. So I kind of got a whole different gift. I know I have a gift in music in general, but
Right.
I'm not the average, like I say, music lover. Not like I used to be, I don't think, not now. It's yeah, like yeah. It's just not. It's not the same. But trust me, I'm one of the best. I know that's one thing I know. I'm one of the best to do what I do. You know, and especially the cello style that I got. Yeah, it's different
Right.
from plenty. You know, but it's
Can
not.
you hear
It's
me? I'm broken up a little bit.
oh no, I'm
Could
saying
you?
yeah. I'm still here. Can you?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It
It
paused for
was
just a
breaking
little
up a
bit.
little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I still I'm not as die hard. I know that as the average probably cello player out there. A lot of people feel like, oh, you took off the year from practicing. It's like, yeah, it's a different relationship. You know, but it's a peace of mind with it as well.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But and that fall into another thing of discipline. Like I
Right.
said, if I don't know, but I don't judge myself with it though. I try not to judge myself with it, even just understanding how long I've been doing music, and it comes with a different kind of weight. So I don't know if have you ever taken a break?
Um. Yes, but I, I feel it's so uncool to say, but just keeping it a buck. It really was. It wasn't a. I'm going to take a break. It was. I'm not going to practice today, and then today turns into you know weeks or months
Yeah.
for real. For it wasn't. It wasn't intentional. You know what I mean? It's whack on my part. I mean, because I was going to ask you if you
No.
because like was it is it or I'm asking this you might even have some advice or something in terms of I mean I think I'm much better with it now than I was in previous years, but like uh I guess my question would be like how did you get to a point and what advice if any like would you have for to 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 just not being like hard on yourself in that aspect, you know what I mean, in terms of knowing that if you had been more. You know what I mean? I'm asking that for advice. You know what I mean? Because you might something I need
With
to
the
hear for
cello is
real.
one thing because I just stopped playing the cello for about 7 years, but I was still producing and stuff like that. But
Okay.
for right now, like you said, what would it take? And to be honest, I guess I would say the whole world got to shut down. And then that's what happened. The whole world shut down, and I got a chance. As things happened, a couple of activities after, things happened, and got a chance to really look back and analyze some stuff, take some weight off of me because the world shut down. There ain't nothing I could do
Right.
about that. That's like, hold on now. Soon as we kind of in position musically, things getting to rolling, and that's here in LA for me. And the world shut down. So it's like, okay, I took time to analyze a lot of things. And even though, 2021 or the end of 2020, I was still going into some of 2021, I was still street performing. I'd also experienced a lot of street performing here in downtown LA. And relationships with music artists kind of, looked at everything in the bubble. And God gave me a sign to, all right, take a break for a second, just have a little faith. I've kind of moved some things around, so you can't really make anything happen. Even if you try it right now, the world's not moving. So just, take a little break. And this is just for me personally, how I could look back and see, like you said, what really probably happened. And I couldn't look at it then, but if I was to see what made me look at um, a pandemic, I mean, no, not pandemic, I guess pandemic proof happiness to a
Right.
certain degree. And that's when I got a chance to really take some weight off from, all right. And I just released a song as well. So that's another one of those, kind of snatch a lot of air out of your soul and out of your lungs. And you're like, ah. So meditation kind of realized even we did a podcast early, actually before this one, I was explaining to the guy when I stopped doing music altogether, meditation involves nothing. You don't listen to anything. So with me not reviewing beats, not listening to this, not practicing, not doing this, life kind of went into a quiet,
Hmm.
a lot more quiet in the 24 hours of the day, a lot more quiet in the week, a lot more quiet in the few months, and a lot more quiet in the year. And after I kind of took a break and it was almost like a recharge. As I look back at it, I feel like now it's like, okay, I'm not quite ready to push myself because I know I'm not done with music. That's something, music is something we do till, you can do it
Right.
until, yeah, you
Right.
you just, yeah, can't do it anymore as far as physically. But as long as you can physically do it, and that's one thing that it was embedded when I was growing up in orchestra, and all those seminars, they take you and sit you down, or we're at the master class and they bring out this old wrinkle, white guy, and sit him down, and then they bring out his violin, and he can barely move, and they give him the violin, and he's just going crazy, and you're like, how can he physically move like that, when he could barely walk out to the stage? So that's something I learned, young, like, okay, 75 or 85, I can still play the cello and do that. So that's there. But I think I kind of got a little sidetracked. Where was I going? Okay, I guess, but just taking a break in general.
Right. So you saw that, and meditation, and
Yeah.
and
But,
just
but that's what gave me more of, I guess, of the confidence to know that, okay, I can come back with it, but I'll come back to it. But have I
Mhm.
ever really just taken a break to where I'm not worried about making a song? I'm not worried about producing. I'm not worried about, and she is also connected to me as well. When it comes to, I'm doing a project, she gonna help me promote it regardless.
That's
So
what's up.
also with me bringing that to a pause as well, it also allowed her to slow down. So it was also kind of in that as well, that decision to where, hey, all right, she's gonna support it regardless. And of course, we all know one man band is hard as hell. So a two-man band is, it's some help, but I can't be like, I don't need your help. That's a lie. So
Right. Right.
so I basically, yeah, went ahead and said, all right, you know, I'll take a break and we'll focus, or I'll, yeah, focus more on her. She was doing some vlogging, and so it kind of blended together studio with the podcast thing. And that was around the end of 2020. So we kind of melted the podcast with the podcast studio with the recording studio.
Right.
And when it rained on the studio last year, that kind of, that's really what made us reset everything. So we recorded about 17 episodes in between October 1st, 2020 and December 28th, 2020. And then it rained on the studio. And that's kind of where even,
Oh man.
whole, like I said, whole life wise, it was a sign from God to where, hey, now is the chance to take a break. And I had to really sit down and catch that sign. Most people be like, all right, I gotta go harder. Or I gotta do this, or I can't let this stop me. And it's be like, it's not about stopping you, but sometimes you just do have to reevaluate the last, or reevaluate your whole life, not just your music career, not just,
Right.
your week, or no, I reevaluate the whole life, and got to a point to where I was like, okay, wait, I was offered music. I was more offered it, but you know, let me try some other things. Let me see what's out there in my attention span. And then crypto came along. Cryptocurrency it came more, I guess, no, it was introduced to me. It's been there, but over this time, that was something that, all right, that's there. And then NFTs. So as soon as I'm saying, all right, I'm putting down the towel on the NFTs thing, on the music side, the NFT thing come up. So it's now it's like, oh, this new world for musicians, and now you can create your music and put your music into an NFT and sell your album through it. So it's like, oh, now there's a hope without, the rest of the stuff. There's still
Right.
more there. And then still another acceptance of it's gonna be there. Cause this is at the very beginning of, all right, now NFTs is here. Now you need to make an album for the NFT world. That could have happened, and it wouldn't have been no break. So it was still more like, all right, let me It's gonna be there. It's here. I've done a bunch of work. I got beats, songs I haven't released. I got a bunch of it. But, you know, like I say, even it's hard to, it's hard to from it's financially, mentally to do a couple of things as a musician or even, because look who you're competing against as well. We out here in LA. There's Los Angeles convention. I mean, was it not convention, but Los Angeles studio. It's some type of
Yeah,
film
LA
studio.
studio.
Right.
It's a different level of competition out here when dealing with music. Even Kanye say you kind of lose money when you're putting out a project. So, you know, you got to know what we're dealing with, the reality of some things, and okay, go back to the drawing board, see what we're doing, worldwide, and then come back and see what's. And when I went out worldwide, I was like, okay, let me come back within to see what's going on
Right.
because the timing is off out there. But it kind of led more to I didn't want to rebuild on the podcast thing because we did the walls and stuff, and it was I didn't want to rebuild the studio. It would look nice. Been up 2 months, kind of stabbed in the heart on that too. At the same time, because it looked great, and just didn't want to rebuild. So over time, it kind of rebuilt itself. Put this here, put this here. After they finished redoing the apartment and everything, was still more like, all right, I'm still be in silence. My studio was still in the closet. All the equipment and everything still in the closet. Some stuff got wet, but it didn't. I don't think it. The only thing I haven't tested out is my preamp, but everything else, it still worked. But I just
That's right.
pulled it out maybe a couple of months, maybe about a month ago, maybe if not this month, and it's been that type of slowly let my energy recharge to kind of want it again, to want to, find the perfect place and the energy to do it. Now, where you are does count. It matters. And I could say when I was in the DMV area, I networked with some musicians, but I didn't have the best results when it come to drive. And,
Hmm.
I ended up coming out this way. And that's a different, I was in Atlanta before that. I didn't play the cello at all. So it's, Atlanta is an energy of its own. But where you are may matter as well on because I'm doing this now to kind of learn from people and to get a genuine. That's also one of the things that motivated me to get into podcasting because as a musician, and it's a lot of people put that musician title on you and it has a borderline between a certain level of respect that they want to give you. And I've learned that from out here, so the more I realize, if, and this, I'm not saying if, but since doing podcasts outside of, people don't look at you as a musician or they don't know you as a musician, it's a different conversation. It's a different
Right.
genuineness to it. It's because a lot of people that I was meeting when I was here, or I could say some people, if I met people out when I was street performing, I can read people. I already kind of know it's either you want something, it's going to be that kind of relationship. You either want music wise, you want to link up and do this, you want to link up and do, it's usually that from a musician only point of view. And you don't really know who you're linking up with. And, you can link up with a bunch of toxic musicians in your music career.
Right.
And, you know, you don't know it until somebody mentioned it.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, it's not necessarily the whole thing of, the whole, your passion for music. It's just, yeah, it's a lot of trolls in the musician world to a certain degree that can, mess up some things, just like it's a lot of trolls in a lot of other industries that mess up things, especially like
Right.
Instagram. As far as you got great people like yourself that's there, but you also got that promoted on this and DM me, and you got you got that you got to deal with. So, those are people in real life.
Oh man, right. Right.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Oh
Those are some
man.
some of those, as far as you can meet them. Like I said, this person, if let's say Scam Likely was a person and they show you this picture, you got so, it's all of that kind of I had a chance to evaluate my whole why do I do music? And it started from there. It's different from a lot of other people. You can ask yourself why you do music. It's different. It's
Hmm.
a more of a I was listening to some deep down passion, and it's a drive behind it. Mine is because I'm good at it. And but it's a lot of musicians that I don't know. I want, like I said, as I think about it, it's like, why do I not care about knowing, these, great musicians, these artists, or keeping up? It's like I'm one of those people that I couldn't in performing arts school, theory, learning jazz, or learn theory better than, but when it comes to the history of knowing the history, I had a hard time with it. I couldn't lock it in on Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, even still grow up playing the music. And I didn't connect all the way with classical music. And that was the thing. I thought I didn't like the cello growing up. And I realized I don't like classical music.
Right.
So when I started back playing the cello, I didn't play classical music. And I told myself I wasn't going to play in the orchestra. So I found a passion then. I found a connection. I was able to learn the cello, and it's there. So I know, and that's the thing. After street performing out here, I know where I stand as a musician. I'm no KO. Kevin
Yo,
Alusha.
solo. Right.
There's some great cellists out here
Right.
that like I said, they crazy with it. I still know where I stand with that, and it's a lot of it is the Mississippi soul, and still from what I'm able to do, connect some things, and the time that I've put in out there, you know, doing it. But I don't have to compete with it. I'm not. I had to, I lost that drive to kind of. I can't say I lost the drive, but it's just, it's. I learned that I don't have to compete in a certain way, and
Right.
what I'm competing with had to, still get a good understanding what I'm competing with, and finding happiness regardless. If I didn't have it, and if I had to do something else, crazy enough, that's kind of how I built my music mindset growing up in a weird way. It's gratitude, but it's like, all right, if something happened to my hand and I can't play the cello, I need to be able to do this as a musician. And if I can't do this and I can't, I know how to sing now, because if everything got slapped off the table, all right, if I could still talk, I could have a music career. It came out, there was no lose in it if I chose, to do it. So that's kind of how things built. Now it's more of, I could say now I'm entertained by cryptocurrency, NFTs, this podcast thing. I live in Los Angeles as well. That's why I could say the DMV is a different area. You know, that might be the only thing that's keeping you sane in certain places. So I can't advise, if you don't feel like taking a break, or if you don't feel like that's where you are, if it's other things that you realize, like, oh, okay, no, I just need to switch this around, and all right,
Right.
that's for you. But yeah, the LA helps. Being LA, it does help. Sunshine. I realized being in the DMV, didn't get a lot of sunshine when I was there, when
Right.
I first hit there, and it bothered me.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah. So, and yeah, it's pretty cold. You got snow on the ground right now over there?
We do. We do.
Yeah.
It snowed yesterday.
Yeah, we
Last
was
night, overnight, yeah.
done with that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's sometimes it's making sure you have another happy space sometime definitely helps when you trying to just take a break. Like I said, I'm not quitting. I didn't quit doing that. I never say, but I am looking for that spark or that energy to really give me that. Yeah, I'm gonna sit here all night. This is what I do. While I sit here and
Right.
practice this, I know where I've come from. And I look at it often as like, yo, all right, I want that drive, that in particular drive, at least when I'm doing it. And I know it's there. It's building up now. I still want to do it, but it's like, all right, now it's not the time. We got a different
Hmm.
focus going on. We're still at peace. There's no, you should have tried harder than, no, you got a bunch of beats. You've done a lot of music. You've given a lot of energy, a lot of free shows, a lot of this, don't feel guilty for that, you know.
Hmm.
And the biggest reality is like nobody else cares. really, the reality is nobody else really cares. And that's what the reality we've come to. So it's more like, all right, make the decision for personal happiness. But,
Right.
you know, sometimes it's the music world. You always, you know, it's your friends, you don't know. You don't really know sometimes. You know, as long as you're doing all right, then we cool. But as soon as you start doing better, then hey, it's a different energy. You know, I've produced for artists, you know, for free, you know, produce the song, record for them, everything. We get there, they see that I'm happy about it, and they just snowball. You know, all right, I want you too happy about it. I don't, and I just, after so much experience, I realized, okay, it's not necessarily something I'm doing wrong. It's, you know, I'm learning from it. It's not me,
Right.
it's them. And it's, you know, get what I can from it. Understand, okay. All right, we'll you know, we'll figure it out as it go. If I need to stay in this area, or you know, just for me, because like I said, I was doing a lot, you know, and I've only seen a few as far as clips of what you're doing, but just from looking at it, I feel like you're doing a lot too. Period. Just from the Instagram is a lot alone. So anything creative wise, I already know that's night to day. That's the even just the great spoken poetry, the film that you put together. Man, it's a lot. Trust me. And the people, some people appreciate it. Some people don't know how to appreciate it. Some people don't know how to be like, man, you saying happy birthday really just made my whole year. You know, people don't know. They don't understand that. So
But you know, it's something to it, I couple things came to mind when we was talking, well, starting with what you just said. It's like something that I think I'm talking to myself too. Like I think I have to learn more, and I think a lot of us as a people, and even just people in general, is like to I don't want to say gratitude, but like showing to get better at like intentionally showing like degrees of you know, of gratitude or appreciation for whatever it is, like, you know, whether it's something that somebody, whether it's not just family, friends, or loved ones, but even, you know, a random person associated with something, if they do something, say something, did something, to let them know, you know what I mean? Like, you know, not for you to get anything from them, but just, you know, because a lot of times I think a lot of times what we perceive as people not caring is that if we, it's like it's culture of um of not showing appreciation. Like
yeah.
like I remember one time. Hopefully, I can say this quickly, but I remember one time, and I was talking to one of my brothers about this a couple weeks ago. But I was at this years ago. My brother EP11 MC had this event. It was called the Art of Conversation, and it was basically an open mic meets a conversation in the living room among friends kind of thing. It was real dope. But one night, the topic was and the topic is organic, whether like an official, it's wherever it, you know, it flowed. Um, and one night, the topic got to the point of chivalry, and a sister that had asked me, well, not just me, but asked, you know, all of us that was there, you know, do y'all think that, you know, chivalry is dead? And what I said essentially was, I don't necessarily think that chivalry is dead, but I think appreciation for chivalry is kind of like on life support. So like a lot of times it's not so much that people don't want to engage in acts of kindness, you know, men or women, but it's just that we don't we don't show appreciation. Like I can't tell you like how many times I've seen, you know, a sister do might maybe open the door for, you know, an older sister or for a child, and you know the child don't say nothing, you know, the other sister don't say nothing, or like a brother open the door for a sister extended time. And it's like a lot of times people actually want to be chivalrous, want to um, uh, facilitate, random acts of kindness, so to speak, but they don't because
They don't
not
think it'll
because they
be
don't actually
embraced.
want to, but because they feel that it's unappreciated. You know what I mean? So it's something that I be trying to, okay. And I'm saying, even though I'm saying it, I'm definitely talking to myself too, because I strive to do it, but I definitely need to get way better because it's so many people, and that's part of why I do a lot of stuff I do too, because from literally day one of being introduced to the art scene, in my city, people always showed me love, was open and gave me, um, uh, open with sharing information and, giving me game about, this and that. And it's like, it's so many people in the village that this done is to this day do things. A lot of times circumstance don't allow me to pay them back, in whatever format in the moment. So if I can't get to them, I just try to pay it forward to the next, man and woman, because there's just so many things people have been so sharing with, with me, and I just try to, be the same thing for the next, man or woman, or if the youngins, if where I can, if they, if I can help with something, because um,
Yeah, and teaching is one of those things. That's you teach, right?
no, not you mean like a school teacher type?
No. As far as music.
No,
Okay.
not in that way. I share. This isn't just me trying to be humble enough and like not really. In terms of sharing information, like if somebody asks me, I give them all of that. But as far as being I'm not a music teacher or anything like that, or
Well,
even in the unofficial sense, I wouldn't say.
but even just education wise, like I said, it's paying it for from the happy birthdays, from introducing, that's one of the things. Education is, as a musician, one of the things, certain learning about certain things, it was hard for me to do because my brain was always on music, 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 music.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, even with the podcast, it allows me to learn from music stuff about different people. And then with Instagram, there are only a few platforms you can probably really learn from, or that's just really have a different purpose other than just, the personal thing or the business. It's not like you're running a business. You're just showing love and appreciation with this page. I can't really, other than the law of attraction page, it's hard to think about for me personal pages that do this. So I definitely look at that as a paying it forward because, like I said, musician wise, cellists, violinists, even hearing them play Happy Birthday and just the happy birthdays that I've heard on there, period, from the musicians, is like, man, these are some crazy musicians, from bass
Right.
players to just everybody. And you know, man, I don't know how many. I
Yeah, I
don't know if
love.
people say thank you on there. I'm not
Oh
sure.
no, they do. They
Okay,
definitely do. There and even so, I run into at different times in person. I run into people here and there, and a lot of people say it's something that they in general appreciate. You know what I mean? And I say it's fun to me too. So that's a blessing. So I'm thankful that I could I actually had a chance to just hear about y'all. Like I said, I didn't know, man. It was so many, man. Like I remember years ago, um, and I just it speaks to like the power of names and stuff. I was at this when it's this a vegan spot in the city called OK Natural that was right around the corner from this poetry spot at the time. And I went in there to get whatever I was getting. And I saw a sign on the bulletin board that said Soulful Symphony. And it was just a paper fly. It wasn't a picture, but just the energy of the words. I saw in my mind, I was like, yo, okay.
Soulful Symphony.
That, right. And I don't know if you ever heard of it or actually seen them, but
I haven't.
it's like I'm not exaggerating either. It's like 75 to 100 plus of symphony. And I would say 90 over 95% is us.
Mm.
And I would say, man, yeah, I tell people, because ironically, I don't actually talk a lot except for when people ask me stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. It's weird. You know what I mean? I'm kind of quiet, but mad talkative when I do talk. You know what I'm saying? But like, but I tell people, man, even if it's weird as this may sound to say, even if you had a loved one or a sibling who was deaf, I would encourage people, if you had the opportunity to see the soulful. I mean, just that many. You know what I mean? And like, yo, and they playing on the high level. Ain't
Right.
classical, hip hop. You know what I'm saying? R&B, gospel. I'm like, yo, I just didn't. I mean, and this, and around that was right around the same. Uh, um, Actually, a few years. I was probably maybe 4 or 5 years into my when the uh how I got interested in. It's a whole story too, but in strings and in general and that whole that whole thing. But I guess since I'm talking about it, in '99, like when I started buying jazz CDs and reading like the liner notes and getting different books on jazz, two of the albums that I've read a lot about for a couple years from different sources, before I actually got a chance to hear the albums were Charlie Parker with strings and Clifford Brown with strings. And at the time, it was either out of print or mad expensive to where, like, at the time, I couldn't intelligently afford it. Like, it might have been like 200 or something for it. I could, at that time, it would have been, not saying I couldn't have done it, but it just been foolish for me to buy a CD, especially at that time for,
Yeah,
for
still
$200 or
now.
something. Right.
Yeah, even now.
I just don't have it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Even
To
now,
keep it as a
that's
buck.
a CD.
Right.
NFT.
But I mean, right. But so, and then like a couple years later, the price went down. I'm in the spot. It was Jazz West, a brother named Bill Coach, ran it. I was in there looking at CDs and stuff, and I said, "There's Clifford Brown with strings," and it went down. It was like $15, whatever it was. It's like, man, finally. And then maybe a few months later, I got Charlie Parker with strings. It just was, it was everything that there's so many different people in different, places and times that said it was, and more of just like this mad beautiful, man. Even that's an understatement. The synergy of the strings, with Charlie Parker with the saxophone and Clifford Brown with trumpet, and those two things was really what planted the seed in my mind, thought in my mind of Aquil Mizan with strings. And then like I think a couple years around the same general time frame also, I think it was 2001, my pops he had bought me this CD for my birthday anniversary called Roy Hargrove. It's by Roy Hargrove, called Moment to Moment, which was Roy Hargrove with strings.
Okay.
And that was, and I don't think he knew. I mean, me and my father talked a bunch, but I don't have. Maybe I did because he was a real good listener. You know what I'm saying? But I don't remember at that time telling them, about my, affinity for, strings and all of that. Maybe I did, you know what I'm saying? But those three projects in particular, and then there's a whole bunch of them. Donald Byrd with strings, it's a lot, you know what I mean? And at the time, it was like, I mean, I got faith, so I was like, maybe I knew my money. I didn't have the money to obviously pay for a symphony, but I was like, man, at some point down the road, anything can happen. But I realized relatively quickly that, with modern technology, even at that time, through sampling and overdubbing, that I could, with the help of different brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, create different manifestations of Aquil Mizan sonically, you know what I mean, and then gradually, I started meeting, different string musicians and stuff like it was a sister, is a sister. She was well, at that time, her name was Monica McIntyre. She's a cellist, the vocalist. I think she's based in New Orleans right now, but at that time she was based in the you know, in the DMV or whatever. And she was in my city, and she was the first cellist. She's the first cello soloist that I heard. Period. And and of course, by virtue of that, she's definitely the first, you know, black cello soloist that I heard. She was the first cellist that I heard play the cello in like styles or genres other than classical. Like she, you know, she had like a real. I mean, she's classically trained for sure and does all of that, but you know, it's like bluesy, soulful. It's just she's super talented, and she was the first person that I heard play a cello, accompany herself on cello while singing.
Mm.
I just never, you know, I had never.
Yeah, that's tough. I just didn't never really felt like I wanted to master that. It was like but yeah, it takes a whole different type of chemistry of the brain. Feel like.
Right. Yeah, I see people doing it. I'm like, man, that's, you know, and she was the first person that I heard play like bass lines that sound and feel like bass lines on a cello. I just like she was, you know, is. I mean, she's still doing it. I mean, but you know, she was just like she really I mean, I heard of a cello, but she was the one that really put like cello on the map, you know, for me, like just like I mean, and you know, and super talented. And again, you know, like Super One, met them. You know, her sister plays the violin, Marsha McIntyre, but and now she's known as Spirit McIntyre too. By the way,
Okay.
she changed her name, but just I mean, just phenomenal. And you know, it just another thing I had, you know, like Super Warm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe you know, that's something I've been blessed with, man. You know, I haven't that I can recall, you know, no, it's been fortunate that, you know, that I can think of. Maybe it's something I'm forgetting. I mean, I work with a lot of people, but it's been a lot of good energy. You know what I'm saying? I haven't
That's
really
good.
had a lot. Now I ain't saying, you know, some things that happen here and there. You know, I don't make it seem like it's, you know, I had a
Understood.
utopian
Yeah.
experience or anything like that. But just in terms of, you know, energy and people, you know, and just being warm and stuff like that. But But yeah, you know, Spirit McIntyre, formerly known as Monica McIntyre, she was
I have to
put the
definitely
cello on the
look it
map.
up. Yeah, because I wasn't exposed to too many other cellists when growing up, so that probably was one of the things why we weren't just super inspired either. My brother and I to just
Right.
keep on going. Another thing, like you said, we had a private teacher. Um, cellos weren't really we didn't really have expensive cellos, so that matters. We learned that growing up. That like, oh wow, okay, there's a major difference in between the cellos we had and these professional quality cellos. A couple of
No
hundred
word.
thousand dollars difference,
Wow.
and we see,
$100,000, Joyce?
man,
Wow.
that
Yeah.
cellos most of the when professional cellos start probably around 20 to 50, 60,000. But the
Wow.
Yo-Yo Ma, yeah, they pay a couple of million for their cello. The big cellos, yes, cellos run expensive because it's the
Wow.
wood. So,
Yeah.
after touching, playing, getting back my fingers back going, and that was in the DMV area, and then going to a cello shop and touching some $60,000, $80,000 cellos, I heard the difference. And I realized like, oh yeah, we would have been a lot more inspired to play if, we had good quality cellos growing up. So
Wow.
that's
Yeah, that's another thing too, man. Oh, my bad.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, like you know, that's another thing I try. I mean, again, I just, you know, try to do my little part, but like, you know, just to even with the pictures, because you know, I believe that um even though, of course, like as we were talking about, it's so many of us that play those instruments and play them well. Um, I didn't have no knowledge of that growing up at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, you know, and it's like I believe that's intentional in terms of, you know, the way that the way that music is promoted, and um uh you know, in terms of, I mean, you know, it's clearly institutional racism in the, in the symphonies, and and in the
Yes.
visuals and all of that. So it's on it's undeniable. But that's another thing I believe in. It's so important, man. Just seeing, just just on face value, you know what I mean. Just seeing, certain things is really it's really powerful. It's something, I mean, another thing why I try to do it as well. Even I mean, just for the visual part, because some stuff I mean, I intentionally try to I look at certain pictures. I'm like, yo, that In some cases I might have heard them. In some cases, I may, I may not have, but I definitely, I definitely try to, I try to find those, pictures and things like that. But I mean, like, something you said earlier too, that I thought it definitely was real key and interesting about, um, connecting or reconnecting through, the instrument or whatever we do with passion, because
Yeah.
like a lot of times some people clearly can do both very well, but like a lot of times it's interesting that like, I don't know if you could give me your thoughts on this, but like sometimes the people who, and I'm myself as well, may admire like their facility on the instrument or facility range, whatever, as a vocalist. Like they may have that, but a lot of time, not all the time, but oftentimes those people they don't have the passion. So it's like they can play it well, but you don't, what I'm saying, you don't feel it because they just playing notes, you know what I'm saying? Whereas there's a difference between, playing notes and playing from the heart. You know what I mean? When I
Right.
say heart, I don't just mean in the sense of having it memorized, but when you playing something that you're passionate about, or it's a difference between writing words and and like if you write a rhyme or you write a song, that's like this is something you experience, or something that it's a difference when it's a whole other thing when you're passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being able, connect with that. That's big. That's huge, man. That's
Yeah. It's the
huge.
relationship between, I guess, the musician and the instrument. It does. I think it definitely has to have something to do, not be about competing or not too much ego. When you can pull the ego away from it a little bit, that helps, and that's kind of, even though it's a lot of, nah, I guess maybe you don't have to have that much ego when dealing with being a musician. You just, it's more discipline and passion and, maybe a little ego, but not, that's the imbalance there. When the spirit is not balanced, the ego is doing too much. I think that's kind of one of the things I had to put into check.
I guess it depends if you have passion for it too, because that's when you play it with soul. I guess that's how I would put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I can
Right.
tell as a listener, like I love string instruments, and I can tell when somebody's just like going through the motion versus like really soulfully playing that song. Especially if I know the song, then I can tell like how you're playing it. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
But
Yeah, that's
yeah.
huge. A lot of times, I know, like for me, not all. It's definitely some people who are phenomenal and they have both. But like, like there's a lot of people like Bill Withers. Like I don't think too many people would say he was the greatest singer, but as far as the soul, the heart,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, one of the best. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, from in my, there's a lot of people like that. To where you know, even somebody like, I mean, I love her. She just had a birthday recently. Like Mary J. Blige, you know what I mean? Not the greatest singer, but
Her soulful sound.
her
That's
soul. You know
kind
what
of
I'm
what
saying? With
we're, I would say, the I'm used to that, to hearing original voices. So,
right,
and the world has kind of moves into the, the auto tune or just the not so original for certain kind of genres of music, but still being the most original and letting you be a complete package, like a NDIRE type of,
hmm
original, or just, yeah, like you say, even a Mary J. Blige. You know, from that era that we know that when she, you know, was going in, or where she, you know, where we remember when she started and even where she is now, I can only remember her original voice. If she was to pull out a microphone and start singing something, you know that's her. You know, if
Right.
that's those are signature voices, and it's a lot of, it's not, well, a lot of them are out there, but we don't get them like we used to. It's hard to
Right.
tell who is who sometimes, and it's not necessarily dealing with the talent. It's like you can listen to the record and you can hear the voice, and you you hear the voice on the record, but when it comes to the live show and you hear the voice, it's like that's not the same voice from the record.
Right.
you
Right.
know and and that's the disconnect, that you kind of have now when you're dealing with those artists. Mary J. Blige on the record, Mary J. Blige on the stage.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's what
Right.
you get, and we
And
don't quite get
You
that
know,
the same.
even judging the best means like it's supposed to sound a certain way when music is really just an art form, just like a painter. It's just their way of expressing something, and you either like it or not. It's not necessarily, just because Mary J. Blige was not, I guess, what people term as the best singer, but still created, she had her own style and created great
absolutely.
music.
Right. And
So,
with that, that's one of the
So,
things that pushed me away from classical music, because it became just a catalog of who plays it the best. Can
mhm.
you play it better than this other
and
musician?
it's
And
the
can
same
and it's
music
who's judging it,
rotating.
and like you say, go back to the racism in the foundation of, classical or that orchestra world. That's another conversation in itself.
Right.
Yeah, definitely another conversation. Um, and something I would want to get your opinion on, you know. But we're not going to hold you too long. We always invite everybody back, get the warm up podcast, and then, we'll definitely have more stuff to discuss. And I'm sure you have some stuff to discuss on the next go round as
Oh yeah.
well.
Oh yeah.
Outside of, I really just wanted to, show my appreciation for the Instagram from the beginning, just to get that going, you know,
I appreciate you.
and
In
let you know
fact,
we appreciate that.
can you maybe I wanted to hear. I heard some of your music, but more because at some point, I don't know, maybe later this year, I'm get back in the lab, but I might want like buy a track from you or something or something. I don't, at some point. I mean, this to see.
Oh yeah, I'm. So I still got my setup, and I'll let you. You said you've heard only a little bit, or
I mean, the things I've heard is like that. Mostly, it was like you playing an over track. I haven't heard
okay. So yeah,
a whole
I'll
bunch.
send you to Spotify and stuff like that. And like I said, I do all kind of. Or at least I was doing some of everything, whether it was my own classical style, or haven't did too much jazz wise. I should have. I wish I was more educated as a jazz cellist, but that's a whole different level of theory and a whole nother level of brain.
Right.
But oh yeah, as far as I should be back into it sometime soon. I know we get this podcast thing going, and it'll probably be one track at a time. I practice my cello a little bit more, start back recording maybe a little something. But I'll definitely send you some stuff that, just to let you hear released music and stuff that I haven't released. I'll send you some tracks from back in 2003, 2004, when I first started rapping and stuff like that, to give you a good picture of the journey.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward
Yeah.
to it. Because something else I believe too. I mean, it's just my theory. I talked to a couple of people about this. Like, I have this theory that music that's made, um, for lack of a better way to say it, like without mainstream aspiration, or you just making what you feel, you know what I mean, is, I don't want to say more timeless, but because it's like, for lack of a better word choice, it has a longer I can't think of the word, shelf life or whatever, than just some of those things, because you, like, I don't know, I'm interested in hearing it in general, but I'm wondering if I'll be able to tell, was this made, because you said 2004, is that what you said? Or
Yeah, 2000, like about 2003, 2004. You'll be able to tell from maybe the recording quality. That
okay,
might be might be one of the bigger differences that you'll be able to tell. But like I said, it's that growth and understanding. As I think back, from the journey in college and bedroom recording, building an in-house studio, a little, it was, yeah, that whole learning process. Starting off with bad quality music and then trying to move into perfecting the sound,
right.
spending money on people doing fake mixes.
Yeah, that's something too, man. I can't. So many people that I know that do production now, like a lot of them, when I hear hear the backstory, it's like whether it was somebody burning them or just the sheer cost of paying so much money for studio, they're like, yo, we get our own stuff. I mean, and
Oh yeah.
save hella money.
Yeah, after it
So
hit
many produ-
in-house studio for me, it was hard to go back to. I may have went back to a little phase of paying for studio time, but then back in the DMV, yeah, it was like, all right, I'm buying some equipment again. Yeah. So it's it's definitely gonna surprise you. I could say my girl Hurry Up. I don't know if you've heard that song, or maybe the video might have came across Instagram, like wedding style type of song. That was the
Mhm.
last song I released. I do look forward to probably redoing some stuff for that one. But yeah, it's all cello, all me, vocals, everything. Yeah. So
Right, right,
it's old school too. Yeah, it's has an old school feel to it. So I'll send you that
right.
definitely when we close
You
it
and your
out.
brother ever collaborate on like cello wise or like rhyming on the same joint or whatever?
He stopped playing. He started back playing before I did. We haven't collaborated on anything recent. But he's in Mississippi,
Right, right.
and I'm out here. So he was doing a different kind of music, or he was more hip hop mainstream, and I'm basically wasn't. So it was still just kind of that was after we started doing music generally, and then when I moved away and stuff. But he still does music now in Mississippi a lot more than I do, and yeah, we'll probably collab on some stuff sometime this year or next year when I get back into it, basically.
That they
When
Right,
have
the
in the
right, right.
lights switch
past.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
I was saying they have in the past.
Yeah, on a
All
few
right.
So
songs. Not quite cello
Yeah,
wise though.
I would love to hear it, man. I was telling them, well, I mean, it was online. It wasn't on the phone and all, but I was telling him I would love to hear him and the sister. She was in LA, and I mean, well, I think she in Oakland actually, but Anissa Strings. That she
The bass player.
that yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think
I
I
would love
come
to hear
across her.
her in
And
her and
she is,
Satchmo. You know what I mean? Like, yo,
man, she is
man,
amazing, man. She is, yeah, she is real, real amazing on just from the bass playing and the singing at the same time. I've seen some of her clips. Yeah, it's pretty dope too. Yeah.
maybe you can interview her too, man. She's super dope, man.
I'll reach out to her. I can't say everybody reach back, but I reach out to
Right.
people. I appreciate you for reaching back, man. Yeah. Because I can think, like I said, I've sent out to a few people on Instagram. Some reach back, not everybody do. And we also go through another one called Matchmaker, and that's where we get a lot of people that we interview from. So you're more of the genuine, person that we've reached out to. Some of the other people that you may see on the podcast, they come from a podcast platform.
Okay.
Yeah, they kind of match up people that want to be interviewed with people that have podcasts.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard what you said. I know that's what. Okay, I got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't. I never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, they got us. So if you want to be interviewed more, there's a Matchmaker FM to where you can go on and there are different podcast people that have different podcasts and
Do you find that in with that in your either experience or what you heard that that they um that it does a good job of connecting like minded or people that actually vibe with each other as opposed to just you want to do a podcast, you know what I mean?
So
Kind of thing.
when you do your profile as a guest or as a show, like you pick the categories of things you want to talk about, or
Okay.
like categories of interest. And so with that, using that, it will match you up, when people either search for that category or people that are also in that category, like shows, podcasts that are in that category. It will like it sends periodical like email blasts of different people that match your category. So yeah, it tries to match you based on interest.
Yeah, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
I would say that, yeah, I like the results that we've been getting.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
That's what's
Well,
up. That's
once
what's up.
again, like I said, we're not gonna hold you too long. And man, it's been great chopping it up with you. I've kind of been waiting and just really, like I said, I appreciate what you do. I know a lot of other musicians appreciate what you do. And I could say just look forward to talking to you again. I definitely want to come back. I want to have a conversation about I guess, the foundations of, like you say, the racial um build or foundation in some of the music organizations and stuff like that. Just to kind of
Okay.
touch around and educate, because I have some questions about that, and I've always, somebody that's pretty educated in music like yourself, I do want to sit down and kind of just ask you some questions and get your opinion on things, from also even going into, I guess, I'm not sure how much you know in classical history, but just the whole things, because I know they say Beethoven was painted a little light skinned, so just
Right.
wanted to
Yeah, I
discuss
definitely.
some
I
of
didn't know
those
that.
things.
I didn't know that either. That he was. Yeah, he was black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
didn't.
we're gonna definitely, like I said, invite you in, and I'm gonna do a little research outside to prepare myself for it a little bit, and then I'll reach out to you, and we'll basically make it happen.
Definitely, man. I love you, man. Thank you for thinking of the brother, man. Thank you, man. Thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You got
Looking
any
forward to hearing the
projects or
music as
anything you're
well.
working on that you want to
Um,
promote? Anything, just to promote for the people. Just as if that was just if you had anything. If you don't have nothing, like I said, it's not.
just on social media, on all social medias. Aquil Mizan, AQUILMIZAN, on the different social media, and I want to say later this year or early next year. I may have some stuff out. I definitely should have some stuff back online this year, because actually, I think it's either 10 or 11. I actually put out, I mean, just locally, not like do no deal or anything, but it's either 10 or 11 projects that I did. But I tend to have some of those online by the end of the year.
Okay.
Should be way before then. Actually, at least some of them, if not all of them.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I definitely, like I said, after when we shut down and everything, I'm gonna shoot you my information, and we're gonna chop it up and everything. As far as
All right
on
then.
music wise, let you hear some stuff, and then even I'm gonna look forward to that too. To even on the next episode, you can give me your opinion on what you think about the music and everything.
Okay.
So yeah,
Definitely.
but yeah, for everybody, thank you for listening.
And for the podcast, you can find all our information at AmericanGypC.com. That's AmericanGypC.com. You'll find all our videos, audio, links to our online store for merch, information about the hosts, and links to our Patreon, where we have membership tiers and access to exclusive content. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Once again, thank you, and consistent self improvement to everybody, and see you next time.